Good evening, folks, and welcome to the live stream. I hope you're all very well this evening. So, some news. The channel has hit 200,000 subscribers. Not like Reform UK with 200,000 members, but, 200,000 subscribers. Wonderful news for the channel. So, on Friday night, there will be a special 200,000 subscriber live stream where I'll do an Ask Me Anything. So you can ask me anything about the channel, about me, whatever you want. And I'll also do a bit of an exchanging of hats as well. So I'll try on some of the helmets as well. So I hope you'll be able to attend for that. I'll post something on the community page so you can post your questions. I'm going to say thank you to the moderators already for curating all of this, putting the questions together. There'll be also a chance for anyone who wants to post their question on Discord. So we'll take questions from Discord and from the channel as well. So I'm going to see about answering as many questions as possible. So questions from me, questions about the channel, politics in general. We won't be really covering any stories. I'll just be answering questions. So hopefully you can make that. Anyway, so it's great to be on 200,000 subscribers. Didn't think that was going to happen. Didn't think it happened, many years ago when it got to 1,000 and then 5,000 and then 10,000 and 50,000. It was amazing. So what I want to do once again, and I've said this before, I want to reach out to smaller channels, and if I can help them out in some way, give them a bit of promotion, get people on. People who have same ideas or even different ideas. And if you know somebody who has a really good channel that you'd like me to speak to, let me know. Send me a message on social media or if you're on Discord, let me know. So guys, we'll start off with our first story here tonight, which is, this is really weird. Okay, so some of you have probably already seen this. Is Rishi Sunak English? Well, these people seem to think not.
Definition, right? I would say that Rishi Sunak is as English as Tizer and Wyferns, right? He is absolutely English. He was born and bred here. And I wouldn't say that the colour of his skin makes him any
He's
less.
a brown Hindu. How is he English?
Because he's born and bred here.
So by being born here, you become English, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Yes, that's how it works. I really don't understand this. I really don't understand this position that people have. So, the response from most of these on the far right is like, well, you have to have a lineage here. For example, in England, you have to have a lineage in order to be English. But remember the video I did some months back where there was somebody saying, well, to be Irish, you have to have, you have to be able to trace your family back to, 1066 or 1166 to the Norman invasion or something like that, or before the Norman invasion. You have to be able to, you have to have had a grandparent born in the country, or there was a whole range of criteria that you had to respect in order to be truly believed to be, for example, so if somebody said, well, is somebody English? Well, what is the criteria? Well, for most people, the criteria is if you're born in the country, you're that nationality. And I really don't care about ethnic makeup and stuff like that, because people's background can influence their beliefs or influence their culture, things like that. But on the basis of nationality, if you're born in the country, you're generally that nationality. I don't understand why this is so difficult for people to understand. And why is it so important? Isn't it more important that people follow the laws, that don't break the law, don't get involved in crime, or don't pay their taxes and stuff like this? Isn't this more important than this idea of, well, you have to meet certain criteria in order to be determined if you're English or not? I honestly don't get it, because as soon as you start asking questions, the whole thing falls apart. So if it's like, well, your grandparents what if one of your grandparents wasn't English? Are you still English? What if it's a great grandparent? What if they moved abroad and then came back? Does that still count? In Scotland, live here, you're a Scot. David, great to see you on the stream tonight. Do check out Indie Truck Davey. No Trek flag, unfortunately. I will as soon as I get it. I've been moving, so I will promise. I promise I'll As soon as I find the Federation flag, I will put it up, I promise. They want to change that, Max. I really, look, Rishi Sunak, born in England, he's English. What's more to be said? Heard that before. Okay, let's move on. So finally, some good news maybe. UK wages continue to outpace inflation. So it says here, average wages are continuing to outpace inflation, with pay packets rising for both the public and private sector workers, official figures show. Pay, after taking into account the pace of pay rises, rose 3.4% between October and December compared with the same period a year ago, according to the ONS. The UK unemployment rate remained unchanged at 4.4%, although the ONS has advised that its job figures should be treated with caution because of low response rates to the employment survey. Yeah, so if people are not responding to the survey, it's not really accurate data. But if wages are increasing, that means that people are doing better than inflation, which of course is really important. Means that people are starting to come out of the cost of living crisis somewhat. Look, of course, this is data based on just this period. There was massive inflation over the last number of years, so it's going to take some time for people to get back to a situation where the cost of living crisis is over. The cost of living crisis is not over just because a few months have been pretty positive. Crap, I'm half English, quarter Welsh, and a quarter Neanderthal. Am I still English? Will I be deported? Do I have to rejoin Reform? Look, Leanderson is 95% Neanderthal. So, where does he? Should he be deported? And to where? This is the problem for Reform. They want to deport all these Neanderthals, but where do they deport them to? There is no birthright citizenship in the United Kingdom where you're automatically a British citizen. If you're born in the UK, depending on the date of birth, your parents' immigration status. Yeah, so look, it's either talking about are you English in the sense that do you feel English, or are you legally English? Well, not even English. There's no English passport. There is a British passport, and this is another thing that's a problem for the people on the right. Is like they'll say, "Well, I'm English. Okay, show me your papers, prove it," because it's an identity. It's not an actual legal term. There is no legally English. There is no English passport. So there's a British passport. So you're British. So this would be the response. They will say, well, Rishi Sunak's not English. Well, neither are you. Yes, I am. Well, how do you prove it? You can prove that you're British if you have a passport or you have a driving license, but international one. Brad, thank you so much for that super chat. You're English if you lose your virginity. Thanks, Brad. Yes. The Netherlands, deport them to Clacton. Need to build a big wall around Clacton. Build a wall, as Trump would say. Oh my goodness. Okay, so maybe this is some good news. Once again, one swallow does not mean a summer, but it's definitely going in the right direction, and it's not getting worse, it's getting slightly better. But once again, remember, inflation under the Tories was at 11% at one stage, so it's going to take a bit of time to recover from that. But once again, these are positive messages coming out. And why the hell, once again, as I keep saying, where is the Labour Party on this? Where is the Labour government? They should be jumping up and down saying, look, wages are above inflation now. This wasn't the case under the Tories. Why aren't they promoting this? In the same way as why are they not promoting, for example, when the NHS waiting list came down? These are two fundamental issues: cost of living or inflation and the NHS. And they're not promoting either of these things. Instead, it's like, we need to talk about immigration. The one thing that Labour should not be talking about. Not true. 1982, birthright citizenship became a thing. Love the videos, Max. Thank you very much, LVH. Right this minute, Labour are a waste of space. Look, they don't know what they're introducing terrible policies. Like when it comes to wage inflation, look, we don't know if this is because of policies. We don't know, because obviously it's too early to see it as a policy because we don't have a budget yet. There isn't a budget from Rachel Reeves' budget is not going to take effect until April this year. And then you're going to have to wait for some time for it to work through the system. So this could be something left over from the Tories, or it's just general movements within economics that are improving somewhat. Start using the latest AI to ask questions about right-wing politics. It's such fun. I must check that out. What I'd love to do is I can't get my hands on Sir Ron Venty, so I might see about trying to reach out to AI to get some sort of version of Sir Ron Venty, and we could try and do some sort of interview. That'd be interesting, no? Or maybe not. Anyway, let's move on to our next story. Oh my goodness, this was interesting. So James O'Brien talks here about prison, and well, let's have a listen.
Prison is not a holiday camp. If you think that going to prison is in some way a pleasant experience or not a punishment because they've got toilets or televisions, then I pity you, because it means you don't have love in your life. But if it ceases to be a deterrent, it's because people don't have enough to lose that incarceration is taking away. I
don't know who said it, but I really would like to, I must find out this quote. But there's no man more dangerous than the one who has nothing to lose. And if you create a situation where people have nothing to lose, then they're going to end up getting involved in crime. You know, either to feed their family or to get by, or, well, they just have the feeling, well, I've nothing to lose. You know, life is so difficult at the moment. There's no point in going along with the social contract. Why should I respect the social contract if the government is not upholding their end of the bargain? So obviously this is not a justification. This is the realization. This is the facts. This is the reality of it. So people are going to end up in prison. People are going to end up committing crimes. So a good way of avoiding people from committing crimes is, well, to lift people out of poverty, to provide them with something that they don't want to lose. Can you imagine a situation where everyone has something to lose? Then you're less likely to be involved in crime because you don't want to lose that thing, especially if it's something positive like a job or a home or family life or, you know, a decent quality of life. You don't want to lose these things, so you're not going to get involved in crime. But if you have nothing to lose, then you're more likely to go, well, what's the hell? What the hell? Might as well. Another said prison is for the poorest of the poor and the lowest of the low. And of course, the approach we have as a society to prison is we need to punish people. You know, this sort of Old Testament mentality of, you know, we have to make it as painful as possible because that would be a deterrent. But obviously it's not a deterrent, because if it was a deterrent, then we wouldn't have any crime. But of course, we have a lot of crime. But of course, a lot of crime is related to people having nothing. They have nothing to lose.
So it's almost as if the life on the outside is such that it's not measurably superior to life on the inside. And that's a national tragedy and a personal tragedy. We're locking up more people than we've ever locked up before. We're looking up more people than almost every comparable country except Poland. We're looking at reoffending rates that are, I mean, not far off half of the number of people being locked up. So any argument to deterrent is bogus. And yet, one headline today sums it all up, really, when it says, public favours tough sentencing over rehabilitation. The public is wrong.
The public is wrong. Like, tougher sentencing over rehabilitation. If you rehabilitate people, then they're less likely to commit again. And that's better for the taxpayer. It's better for the state. But also, you don't want people committing crimes. But something that's always overlooked is poverty. Something that's really interesting at the moment is how Donald Trump's administration, I'm not going to talk too much about Donald Trump tonight, but Donald Trump's administration is now with its new head of the health department, a crazy person, one of the Kennedys, one of the crazier aspects of the Kennedys. He's pushing really much on, well, we need to, in order to avoid problems in public health, we need to focus on nutrition. Okay, that's a good thing in a sense. Yes, you should focus on nutrition because, for example, over the last number of decades, the quality of food in the United States in particular has gone down. There's been a dramatic increase in the amount of sugar going into food, salt and fat. So if you reduce those or if you limit those, then of course you're going to have a better quality food. But there was a report that was sent out, and I read through some of it, but I searched for one phrase, one word, poverty. I found zero references to poverty in the new report, the program, the executive order that Donald Trump wrote for the new Department of Health and Human Services run by this guy, and no references whatsoever to poverty. But we know that poverty is directly related to poor health. People who have very little food, very little money are going to buy highly processed, low quality food because it's cheap. But no reference to poverty in this report. So this is their program for government about making America healthy again. And their focus is on nutrition, which is important to focus on, but there's no reference to health or to poverty. It's like completely no mention whatsoever. We don't want to talk about poverty. Why do you think that's the case? Because the Trump administration doesn't care about lifting people out of poverty. That was a James Baldwin quote. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, David. Thanks for that super chat. Thanks for that clarification. Evening, Max and friends. Hope you're all well. Great to see you, Claire Sweet. Have you seen some of the ingredients in US food and chemicals that are banned in the EU? Yes, there was a video going around social media of I think it was Fanta Orange, where the US one, they compared it to the European one. Like the color is even different, but also other things like Heinz ketchup, where the European one had like five ingredients fewer than the US one, and the US one, of course, had corn syrup included, which of course is extremely sweet. Leave my damn Fanta alone. It's not just cheap food; it's quick to prepare in our intensive work lifestyle. Very well said, Brad. Yes, so people are working more. Earning less, working more, working a number of jobs, and then when you get home, of course, if after working a number of jobs or working extra just to get some more money to pay the bills and to get by, you're not going to sit down and cook a meal. You're going to just stick something in the microwave, or you're going to reheat something really quickly because you don't have time, or you're exhausted. This is, and of course, pre-cooked meals and prepared meals are lower quality, and they contain preservatives and stuff like this, which is not healthy. Does anyone remember a time when you had a breadwinner and you had somebody at home cooking meals, somebody who could stay at home and cook meals? That time is gone. Unless you're like a trad wife or something on social media with an Instagram account and 200,000 subscribers or something, But like this is a fantasy for most people. One US food that always made me grimace: chicken in a can. A can. Although, as I live in Italy, so if anyone who doesn't know, I live in Italy. It's always funny to show Italians canned spaghetti. They're like, no, my goodness, they almost keel over. Had to get food these days. Even fresh meat is full of chemicals. You can microwave veg pots that are much healthier and not expensive. Hopefully it's healthier. Like microwave is not a bad thing. It's just, it's better if you're cooking something from scratch. The fewer ingredients, the better. That's a good rule of thumb. Wait till the CFD fried pizza. No, don't go there. Anyway, guys, let's move on to our next story. Oh my goodness. Okay. So why is this guy still interviewed by the likes of Sky News and others? So it says here, UK-US trade deal would be wonderful, says former Australian Prime Minister. Sophie Ridge's conversation with Tony Abbott turns to trade. The former Australian Prime Minister is asked why is he being interviewed? Please tell me. What does Tony Abbott have of use to anyone to say? The former Australian Prime Minister asked whether he fears Donald Trump's tariffs could have an impact on his homeland. He downplays Trump's early decision to target Canada and Mexico, saying the president used tariffs as a bargaining ploy to get them to adopt tougher measures on their borders with the US. Okay, well, how did that work out? Because Canada had said in December, yeah, we're actually going to spend $1.5 billion, $1.3 billion on securing the border. And then Donald Trump said, I'm going to impose tariffs. And they said, please don't do that. And he said, well, make sure to reinforce the border. And they said, yeah, we'll spend $1.3 billion. Okay, good. I get rid of the tariffs now. It's like, for Tony Abbott, that's a win. Okay. Anyway. But since then, Trump has announced blanket tariffs on steel and aluminium imports. Abbott, a conservative politician, thinks freer trade with its traditional allies is ultimately in America's interests. But you're selling goods. Like, what's it got to do with allies? Anyway, is Donald Trump an ally of Europe and the UK? No, he's demonstrated that he's not an ally. I would very much like to see a free trade deal between Britain and the US, he adds, saying it would be a wonderful economic complement to the country's security partnership. Let's hope that's something the Starmer government and the Trump administration might be about to embark upon. No. Look, as we were just talking about, low quality food or high sugar, high salt, high fat food. Look, a US-UK trade deal will be terrible for the United Kingdom because Trump and his administration would say, okay, we want access to the NHS. We want our businesses to be able to sell the NHS our products. And the NHS will be in a situation where it can't bargain. It will just have to pay whatever price we demand. Can you imagine if Farage was in charge of the negotiations? Same with beef, hormone-treated beef, chlorinated chicken, things like this. And then this would, of course, create problems, as I've mentioned before. And this is something that's never mentioned. Why are journalists never bringing up this point? If the UK signs a trade deal with the US and it lowers UK standards, it will mean more checks on the border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So I always found it really weird where you had unionists in Northern Ireland who were against an Irish sea border, demanding that there should be a US-UK trade deal. Max, do you know what's in on the Longford GA flag? No, I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a long time. Mentioned this on Politics Social, and Graham and I can see us rejoining the EU with all this going on. Yeah, it's likely to. This is going to push the UK further away from the US and more in the direction of rejoining the European Union, because Longford doesn't exist. But it's a case of, like, the US has demonstrated at the moment that it's no longer an ally. So it doesn't make sense to try and do a trade deal with Donald Trump. But also Trump has said that he tears up agreements. If he doesn't like it, he'll tear it up. So how can anyone within the Conservative Party or Reform UK suggest that the UK should do a trade deal with the US if Donald Trump is not going to respect international agreements? He said, if it doesn't suit us, we're not going to respect it. Could Ireland fund EU programs in the UK? No. In Northern Ireland, yes, but not in the UK because of the All Ireland economy and the All Ireland, because of the Good Friday Agreement as well. So you've already seen that universities in Northern Ireland have received funding from Dublin, for example. The poor do not vote. Farage is fond of a milkshake. I'd like Ireland to fund EU programs in Scotland. But maybe, look, it's possible, because I don't see why it couldn't happen. But there would be no advantage for Ireland in doing that. There would be an advantage for Scotland. But the thing about Northern Ireland is there's an advantage because it's one island, and there are no restrictions on movement and stuff like that between north and south. So it's a different kettle of fish. But there will of course be cooperation. I think there's already cooperation between Dublin and Holyrood on a number of issues. But if it's anything high level or anything very serious, it has to go through Westminster, of course. Hope Scotland is not part of the UK in 10 years' time. Max, I started to boycott US products. First was soft drinks, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. I'm buying the local soft drinks. Also, bars are also also local products. David McGuinness's idea. That's a really good, something I was reading today was that, and I don't know if this is true because it's social media, but I just saw it highlighted was that credit card companies are planning to operate again in Russia, because the US and Russia were having a peace deal or peace negotiation, a negotiation for peace in Ukraine, when in reality it was nothing to do with Ukraine. It's more about, we'd love to make money and you'd like to make money, so let's work together to make lots of money. Look, I've said before, Donald Trump does not care about Ukraine. Donald Trump does not care about Europe in the sense that he doesn't care about peace. He would like to do a deal with Russia so he can start buying and constructing apartments and condos and casinos and everything in Russia. That's what I honestly believe. Bookmark this. I'm not an expert on all of these things, but if you look at what Donald Trump has been doing over the last number of years, what is he saying about Gaza? Need to level Gaza and build casinos and turn it into a beach resort. Because he doesn't care about politics, he cares about money. And he sees politics as getting in the way. So when he looks at Ukraine, he says, okay, Ukraine is a distraction. Let's just give Ukraine to Russia. So we can have Russia on board, and maybe I can go there and do some good deals for myself and my family. That's what it's about, making money. He loves to make money. So he sees an opportunity to do business with Russia. That's what it's about. It's as simple as that. Just if you approach everything that Donald Trump does from the basis of he wants to make money, then it answers a lot of questions that people can't seem to get their heads around. Like, why would he do this? Why would he do that? If you just focus on he wants to make money, then it makes sense. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right here. I'm not saying that I have some sort of insight here. Definitely not. But if you think about it from a very simple point of view, he wants to make money, then it makes sense for him to agree to things that doesn't make sense to anyone else. So Ukraine is a problem. He wants Ukraine taken off the table. It becomes Europe's problem. Then, of course, he wants to go into Russia and do property deals. Same with Israel and Palestine. Do property deals. It's crude. It's inhumane. But that's Donald Trump. Now, when it comes to Europe, I think he would like to see Europe weakened, because Europe is an opponent on the world stage. So this is why I think J.D. Vance was campaigning for the AfD in Germany. Because if the AfD get into power, this will mean that Germany is not going to go along with a lot or create problems for the European Union. It's going to side with Russia. So this would benefit who? A Trump administration. A weaker Europe benefits Trump. A stronger Russia benefits Trump. it's not even so much about Russia. It's like, yeah, well, if we can do some deals with Russia, that's great. We can, make some money out of this. That's his approach. Once again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a strategist. I'm not I don't have some sort of insight here. But it just makes sense if you think about it from that point of view. If Donald Trump only cares about money, then the politics is just a distraction. Thanks so much, Alistair. But yeah, as you said about boycotting, boycotts can work. It sends a message to the administration indirectly, because if there are certain businesses that are reliant on, the politicians are reliant on certain businesses in their constituency, and they are getting a message back, hey, we're not able to sell into these markets, or these markets, the industries have dried up, the business has dried up, then they're going to send a message to the administration, hey, you need to do something different. Let's hope that has an impact. There's already a case. I'm not saying this is something good, but U.S. manufacturers of weapons, their share price has gone down over the last few days, while European manufacturers of weapons, their share price has gone up, because Donald Trump is saying we're going to extract ourselves from Europe. So Europe have to fill the gap, and of course European manufacturers of weapons see their share price go up. So it's benefiting European manufacturers at the expense of US ones. I'm not a supporter of war in any way, but that's just the reality of it. Garrett, thank you so much for that super chat. Trump would negotiate Australia deal with Russia. Now you're on to something. It's true. US will be Argentina 2.0. It's looking like that. It's if he continues down this road, it's going to be a failed state, because what Trump is doing with Elon Musk and his so-called Doge department, they're cutting public services. They're imposing austerity. They've decided that they're going to stop funding going to the most vulnerable in society, the poorest in society. They've decided to cut or stop at that. I don't know if this has changed, but the last few weeks there were stories about food stamps not going to people, support for housing not going to people. Where is this money going instead? Elon Musk and his sycophants are running the federal government at the moment. They have the access to the checkbook, and they decided to cut a load of public services. So this is going to have an impact later on. This is going to drive the country drive a significant portion of the population into poverty, and then you're going to see a rise in crime. Look, I think Donald Trump sees this as his last opportunity to make as much money as possible and then get out the door. So he's just stealing as much. It's like somebody looting a shop, going in there. They have like 5 minutes before the police arrive. Just fill their pockets, fill their bags, fill everything, and then get out the door, and to hell with the consequences. And I think this is Donald Trump's approach to this administration, starting as soon as possible, putting Elon Musk and sycophants like him in charge of these departments, just to fill their boots, fill their pockets as much as possible before what hits the fan. Brad, thanks so much for that super chat once again. Help. Trump stuck in Putin's arse. Right. I'll grab Trump's legs. You pull Putin's head. Grunting. It's not working. Right. Fetch the loop. Thank you for that wonderful image. That's going to remain with me for the next number of days. Should help me avoid eating too much. Thanks, Brad. Okay. Max, what you're saying what you're saying is a lot like what's been said about this country under the Tories. Exactly like the Tories. Exactly. There you have it, Bill. 100% agreement. It's the Tories when Boris Johnson was in charge. Okay, let's fill our pockets before we're kicked out. Give out PPE contracts to our friends and donors. Read Brad's comment. Yeah, I did. fill the pockets of our friends and donors, and just before we're removed from power, and then sit on the sidelines and tell the Labour government, hey, you're doing it wrong. Max, do you know, because of a YouTube channel partner, your info is on Elon Musk's hands if he raids the US tax data? I know there's nothing I can do about that. I don't know how long the channel will last because of what Elon Musk is doing, and Donald Trump. They could decide, actually, we're not happy with YouTube, or not happy with people criticizing us on YouTube. Then it could go, and I don't know what I do after that. So ride it for as long as it lasts. White House said that Elon Musk is not an employee of the Doge and doesn't lead an agency, instead solely serving as a senior advisor to President Donald Trump. Right, okay, yeah. Sure. We believe you. We need YouTube. I said Joe Lefty, yes. So this idea of a UK-US trade deal would be a very bad idea. So guys, we're over halfway through the stream, so just take a short comedy moment, and we'll be back in just a jiffy with more serious stuff. So I hope you enjoy this short. Oops.
Are you a man in your 20s but don't know how to dress? Still got loads of entrenched homophobia, so scared if you do try anything fashionable you'll be called gay? Why not try an overshirt? Wearing an overshirt means you literally never have to put any effort into how you dress ever again. It's got the full spectrum of colours, from sky blue all the way to navy.
Hey, nice overshirt, dude.
Thanks. Nice overshirt to you too. Since wearing an overshirt, I've had women say I look good, and blokes haven't called me a wanker.
They come in 2 sleek modes, on and off.
I can even button it up.
Whoa there, man. Never button it up without supervision. Wait for a girlfriend, female colleague, or gay friend to teach you.
I've worn an overshirt on every hinge date I've ever been on. Thanks, overshirt.
Overshirts. Fashion that women accept and men don't notice. Are you?
It's true. Oh my goodness. Okay. So moving on to another story. This one here. Rayner's housing plans at risk as construction sector warns UK does not have the workers to build 1.5 million homes. So in a story that, we sort of told you so. Not so much told you so, but this was obviously going to be a problem. So let me stop that for a moment. Okay. It's getting a bit jittery. So if you want to build 1.5 million homes, you'll need workers. In order to get the workers, you're going to have to find them either from within society, but then that's always been a problem. So you're going to have to bring people in from abroad. But if you're going to bring people in from abroad, then you're going to have to change the visa system. So I think what we're going to see, unfortunately, is like what under the Tories, where government departments are saying we need workers, like different sectors of the economy need workers, but the Home Secretary is like, no, we need to bring the numbers down. And of course, you're not going to be able to build a house, 1.5 million homes, even if that, some have said that that's not even enough. But if you were to build 1.5 million homes, you're going to need workers. And how are you going to get these workers? You're going to have to say that you're open for immigration, open. You want to bring people in. You want to welcome people in. And if you don't have that approach, then you're not going to get the workers you need, and you're not going to reach your target. Something I really don't understand about politicians is do they not think about these things before they say them? Say, okay, when they're sitting around thinking up of policies, like, okay, let's build 1.5 million homes. Is there no one in the room who says, but wait a minute, we want to reduce immigration because we need to emulate Nigel Farage or pander to him. Okay, then we better not talk about building 1.5 million homes because we can't do that. But I want to build 1.5 million homes because people are asking me, we can't get on the property ladder, we can't get access to housing. The Tories sold off all the council homes and didn't build new ones. So we need to build homes, but we can't. Why? Because we can't get the immigrants in. Why? Because we don't want to do that. We need to pander to Farage. Gareth, thank you so much for that super chat. Oh, Max. Trump and Musk are effectively off playing fucking supermarket sweep with the US being used as a damn trolley. Well said, Gareth. Yes. Just fill their pockets before they go out of office, or, and Donald Trump will of course, make himself immune to prosecution or whatever. This is what he wanted. He wanted to get into... That's why he wants to be president. Part of it is the prestige, of course, but the other part, of course, is making himself as rich as possible. I find it so funny when people, like the MAGA people, are saying, "Oh, he's not even taking his salary." Yes, because it's, it's buttons compared to what he earns being president. It's like Rupert Lowe, the Conservative, the Reform UK MP, allegedly he donates his salary to charity, his MP salary. But he's against the idea of increasing taxes on the wealthy so that, well, he wouldn't have to donate money to... We could eliminate charities tomorrow if we, introduced a wealth tax, but he's against that. So he preferred to donate his salary, but of course he makes more money in other ways. He's not living under a bridge because he's donating his salary to... Like, if you're able to donate your salary to charity, then you don't have money problems in the first place. Because if you have money problems, you don't donate your entire salary to charity. Like, while people may think, "Oh, this is really kind of him." Yes, but if he has so much money that he can do this, then he's doing it because he can. And if he can, then if he's doing it because he cares about poor people, then why wouldn't he support a policy that would help poor people? Do you understand the problem there? QA Library, great to see you on the stream tonight. Thank you so much for that. See, I said hello earlier, I think. Apparently EU and Canada are now in trade talks. Yes, this is... Trump and Putin are very similar. Putin thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll invade Ukraine, and then the West will not respond because they're all divided, and Europe will be all over the place, and I'll be able to do what I want. And then what was the consequence of that? Well, you had more members join NATO. You had more countries become members of NATO. So that wasn't a very good thing. And then on the other side, you have Donald Trump going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make Europe poorer. I'm going to divide Europe, and I'm going to make Canada poorer. And what is he doing? Well, he's seeing Canada and Mexico and other countries try and do trade deals with the European Union because, well, it protects them. So now I'm not an advocate of a fast trade deal, because I think a trade deal is a lot of work, and it should be done, you should dedicate the time necessary to do a good one. It shouldn't be fast tracked, because if you fast track it, you're going to miss something, or something is going to be, it's going to benefit one side over the other. Excuse me. Sorry. So it's better to do, like if you're doing any job, it's better to take your time than to do it really quickly. And this is the same with the trade deal. So, maybe there's some things that were being dragged out, and they decided, look, let's just cut these things loose and we'll just do a trade. So this could be beneficial at the same time, but generally it's better to take your time. But yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of countries deciding, well, the US is no longer our friend, no longer our ally. So we're going to have to look for other friends or other allies. And this, of course, will benefit Europe, and it's going to benefit China as well. Don't forget keeping himself out of jail aspect. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Salary is taxable. Need workers. Damn it, the chat thing moved. I can't find the... there we go. David said, need workers. Since I got out of the truck business, I get begging emails from the Ministry of Transport asking me to get back in a truck. Because they can't find the workers. They can't find the people. Like, pretty much every sector is crying out for work. Like, crying out for workers. And that's not just the UK. Everywhere you go, especially in Europe as well, many sectors can't get the workers they need. They can't find You can find people, but you can't find skilled labor. People who have experienced, and while the Tories would try to sell the idea that, well, driving a truck is like, it's like driving a car. Have any of them driven a truck? No. But how difficult can it be? And remember, we're going to change. Remember the Tories tried to change the rule, or did they change the driving test so you didn't have to reverse? Do you remember that Grant Shapps when he was the transport secretary after Brexit? They were like, yeah, we're going to make it easier. So if you're driving an articulated lorry, if you're driving a tractor unit or whatever, you don't need to reverse. Like whenever do you, whenever you see these things, they're always going forward. Anyway, so that was the reason to get rid of. Because if you make it easier, then more people can do the job. just apply that logic to everything, Like, pilots. Like, do they need all those buttons? Can't they just use the autopilot? Like, you hear about how the autopilot can fly the plane, and can take off and land. It's all computerized anyway. So, do you really need somebody who can fly maybe you can fly with one instead of having two, you can just have one. Maybe the flight attendant can take over, can check in. Is the computer working? Yeah, the computer is working. Okay. Yeah, we'll if something happens, I'll just get on the phone to, the air traffic control, and they can talk me down, like in the movies. No, I shouldn't joke about this, because this is something that probably some politician is listening to and going, yeah, that's an interesting idea to save money. Good for him, even though she walks the streets. I've heard the charity. Very nice girl. Thanks, Peter. I was a bit confused there for a moment. Star trekking, always going forward, but we can't find reverse. Exactly, Max. I remember that. Remember the don't need to reverse. Let's face it. Trump is going to just go quickly. Fascism only bends to force. One aspect of fascism is extremely dysfunctional. And I think we're starting to see this within the Trump administration, because you're hearing one message one day and another message the next day, and it's contradicting one the following day. They're not very good at keeping on message, and there's of course going to be a lot of infighting, because people will climb over each other to get close to Trump, or climb over or stab each other in the back in order to pander to Trump, and this creates a very chaotic system and then you don't have information sharing. So one department will not share information with the other, because their goal is not to make the country good. Their goal is not to deliver for the American people. It's to enrich themselves. So we're very early on, but this thing could come crashing down at any time, because the people in charge are not there. They're not, it's so ironic that Trump and Musk and others talk about meritocracy, but in reality, these people are there just to enrich themselves and to be close to Trump. And they realize, well, the closer I am to Trump, the more money I can make. So they're not going to share information with each other. They're not going to help each other out to deliver policies. They're just going to pander and backstab. And that's not the type of government you want. It's like the Tories before the end. Okay, guys, I want to show you a few more interesting videos.
To also remember about Donald Trump is that sometimes his starting position isn't always where he ends up. And if it could be worse, I think that's unlikely.
If you give people...
It's unlikely to get worse with Donald Trump. So this guy is from Reform UK. It says here, Queen Christina and Reform's Alex Wilson disagree on whether Donald Trump can deliver a peaceful solution to the war in Ukraine and Russia.
To also remember about Donald Trump is that sometimes his starting position isn't always where he ends up. And if it could be worse, I think that's unlikely.
If you give people everything they want at the beginning, it can only get worse, can't it?
It's not up to him to give everything.
Well, he seems to think it is.
It's a European war.
Seems to think it is.
There has to be a European dimension involved in the European...
Okay, but Trump has already said that the European Union is not going to be involved. He's already excluded Ukraine from any negotiations with Russia. But once again, I keep saying this is not a peace deal. He's not signing a peace deal with Russia. What he's doing is he's reaching out to Russia to say, okay, how can I make money in Russia? How can we bring Russia in from the cold to benefit me? It's not about benefiting America. It's not about benefiting the world. It's about how can I make money out of this?
And peace do that. And say, I've always been very supportive of everything that's been going on so far, and I will continue to be.
What do you mean by everything that's been going on so far?
The support for the Ukrainians in military aid, in weapons, in medical supplies.
So where's your but? Where's your but?
There isn't. Yeah, the but is that I want a peaceful solution.
Everybody wants a peaceful solution, but you know what Trump is demanding is surrender from Zelensky, having lost everything that Putin has gained for no gain. How is that a peaceful solution?
Well, Tim, you want a fair and sustainable solution that will work for Europe and for Ukraine going forward.
And what would that?
He's just regurgitating talking points. This is what Nigel told me to say when I went on the TV.
You have to say what that would be, because if you give Putin everything that he's got, and you say there is no, and we're not even going to send any troops in to guarantee the peace, then where is the peace? And B, where is the solution?
My God, these people are pathetic, aren't they? We have a super chat from David McGuinness. Thank you so much once again, David. I remember the no need to reverse shit. It's why many of us 50-something truckers got off the road. It's like you. Like I don't want to be driving around these people. But it's insane. We're just going to make the tests easier. Like we couldn't undo Brexit. That would be a disaster. What we're going to do is make the tests easier. Make it. People don't. It's comical, and it's like Trump wants, and Trump is emulating this sort of thing as well. It's insane, and it's going to get worse, I'm afraid. Okay, let's move on to our next story. England's top judge condemns Starmer and Badenoch comments on Gaza family coming to the UK on Ukraine scheme. So this is the judge at the centre of the drama. England's most senior judge says that she is deeply troubled by Sir Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch's exchange about a Gaza family coming to the UK under the Ukraine scheme. The Lady Chief Justice voiced her concern after the Prime Minister said the judge had made the wrong decision by letting a family of 6 from Gaza settle in the UK under the Ukraine refugee scheme. Sir Keir made the comments during last Wednesday's PMQs after Conservative leader Miss Badenoch raised the case. Miss Badenoch said the decision, so you remember that at PMQs last week, Miss Badenoch said the decision made following 2 appeals was completely wrong and it cannot be allowed to stand. The Prime Minister pledged to close the loophole in answer to her question. Baroness Carr said on Tuesday both questions and the answer were unacceptable. It is for the government visibly to respect and protect the independence of the judiciary. Where parties, including the government, disagree with the findings, they should do so through the applicate process. Miss Badenoch reacted by saying Parliament is sovereign and politicians must be able to discuss matters of crucial public importance in Parliament. This doesn't compromise the independence of the judicial. Well, it actually does. Okay, so there's a very divided opinion on this. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a political expert either. But I think the judge made a ruling. The government doesn't like the ruling, and the opposition don't like the ruling. Now, the reason they don't like the ruling is not so much about see, this is the problem with this. Their problem with the ruling is political, not legal. See, this is my interpretation of the problem. The problem is political, not legal. So they shouldn't actually be criticizing the ruling because it's a legal ruling. Like, if they have a problem with the legality of it, then they should debate the law itself. But they should not be debating this individual case. That's not, so they're turning something legal into something political. And I think the justice is correct in this position, where the other commentators have said, no, it's, Parliament should be able to, and Parliament do have the power to debate these things, but they have to debate the law as opposed to this individual judgment. So I don't think the politicians are correct. I don't think Starmer's correct. I don't think Badenoch is correct. They're criticizing this individual judgment, and they're not criticizing the law itself. So if they have a problem with the law, then change the law. Like, the judge can't change the law. It's the politician's job to change the law. So they should be criticizing the law itself, not this judgment. By criticizing this judgment, they're undermining the independence of the judiciary. Now, I'm not an expert on these things, but that's my interpretation. Trump wants to bring back plastic straws. He actually thinks sharks will eat them all. Oh my goodness. If that's sanity, lock me in a rubber rope. Fucking hell. Thanks, Breckle Punny. He was saying something about them exploding. It's... Are we living in a simulation, guys? Is this all a simulation? Are you all a figmentation of my imagination, or am I a figment of your imagination? It's starting to sound a bit like that, isn't it? Like we're all inside the Matrix, and this is all just fake. We're all gonna, we're all going to be met with. We're all going to meet Lawrence Fishburne at some stage, and he's going to offer us a pill. And maybe it's better to, I don't know which is better, to stay in this matrix or to get out, because it's insane. Badenoch goes loophole about right. Good for the Justice Baron, the Judicial Baroness. Judicial is checks and balances of the executive, is it not? Yeah, look. And naturally the BBC is covering the Donny's need for attention live, and even when it becomes clear is one of his rants, they'll break off for some actual news. They won't break off for some actual news. Max, you took the wrong pill. I think so. Red pill or blue pill, Max? Honestly, at this stage, I don't know which is better. Use bamboo straws. I think you could actually buy metal straws at one stage. You can buy them, or maybe right, elegant metal straws. Anyway, I never use straws. I just drink it from the glass or from the bottle directly. Anyway, here's a stupid question just popped into my mind. Do people actually drink beer from bottles at home? or do most people put beer in a glass and then drink it? If you ever watch TV, especially American TV shows, everyone drinks beer from a bottle. Do people actually drink beer from bottles at home? Unless you're outside, having a barbecue or something, but generally, I think people put it in a glass. Do you put it in a glass? Why dirty a glass? Okay. Most people drink in a glass from people I know. Yeah. I actually have a metal straw. Lasts forever. Or until lost. Good point. Yes, from bottles. Spirits from glass. I prefer tea. Is better. Better for you. Not me. I use a glass at home. Yes, I have drank from the bottle at home, but I hate beer. I can't be honest with a glass thing. I'm just curious about that, because you see it on TV, people drinking from bottles on TV, and I think it's because the bottle is probably empty. But if you have a glass that's empty, then so it probably makes sense for TV where they have an empty bottle, but because it's a blue or green or dark color, you can't tell that it's empty, so just go like yeah, so it doesn't disrupt their ability to act. Maybe that's why they do it. Anyway, let's move on. Enough jibber jabber from me about that. Kemi Badenoch, she wants to change the Conservative Party.
and it starts by telling the truth.
Yes, telling the truth. That's, something that the Tories love to do. Telling the truth. We're off to a good start.
A country cannot be successful if its people and its intellectual elite don't believe in it. This means dealing with the poisoning of minds that is happening in higher education.
Why do they always go to this? Honestly, if I was a conservative, I would be tearing my hair out. I'd be saying, why are we not talking about something that people actually care about? Instead of wokeness or wokeness in universities. Like, how many people, I'd love to see a poll done of how many people care about the issue of wokeness in universities. Do the Tories honestly think this is our way back into power? We're going to fight wokeness in universities. If we're able to show the public that we care more about wokeness in universities than anything else, then we're going to be, I'm going to be Prime Minister one day.
We have been naive on economic growth. We have been naive on issues from net zero to immigration, weakening ourselves and strengthening our competitors. Immigration is far too high. We cannot support all those who wish to come to our country. We have no obligation to do so.
And they double down on immigration. I think the Tories are toast. They have nothing. All they have is immigration, culture wars, wokeness, and then that's it. Whose version of the truth? Well said, David. Thanks for that. Yeah, whose version of it? Is it the Tory version of the truth, which is obviously the opposite of the truth? But they're pathetic. Look, I think the Tories actually have a chance. Of course, they wouldn't listen to me. But I think there's a chance that the Tories could get into power if they actually came up with some decent policies. I don't know what those policies are. But if they had a new leader, if somebody who was not connected to the past. So a new MP, somebody who's charismatic, somebody who's good at speaking, somebody who's able to think, respond quickly to a situation like PMQs, doesn't have to have notes, doesn't have to follow a script, somebody like that. Somebody charismatic, somebody young and charismatic, somebody who can counter Farage, somebody who could take on Farage and deal with him. I don't think they have anyone at the moment like that. But could the Tories, Max? Could the Tories become pro-European? The Tories will follow whatever they think will get them into power. So they think that doubling down on immigration will get them into power. They think pandering to Reform UK voters will get them into power. That's their modus operandi at the moment. That's what they think will work. Do they believe these things? No, of course not. They don't actually have any principles. They don't actually believe in anything. So that's why they're saying, that's why they've changed so much over the last number of years. They used to be a Remain party. I'm not going to say pro-European, but they used to be a Remain party. And now they're a Brexiteer party because they realized, like Boris Johnson, if I go in this direction, then I'm going to win power. That's all they care about, power. They don't have any real principles apart from, shitting on poor people. That's their main principle. But the other one is, of course, power. We want to have power and we'll do whatever it takes to get power. They don't want people to be educated enough to see through their lies. Well said, Peter. They want a situation where they can convince people with platitudes, convince people with slogans, make Brexit, get Brexit done, stop the boats. Now Kemi Badenoch has this, Rebuild 2030 or not reform, what is it called? I don't see it anymore. Some Resurgence 2030 or Reconstruction, something like that. And this is their news. And like Trump in the US, make America great again. What does that mean? Well, it means more poor people. It means more money taken from, for example, support for those who are struggling with housing and putting it into Elon Musk's pocket. That's what make America great again means. It means Donald Trump is now able to build expensive apartment complexes in Moscow. That's making America great again. Thanks, Peter. She's a great comedian. She's wonderful, isn't she? Almost as good as Liz Truss. Anyway, guys, we're almost at the end of the stream. So I want to finish with one final video here, which is a pretty positive one. Yeah, I think we'd call it positive. Have a listen.
Show us big questions about how we in the North move forward and move on. Gutless politicians kick about ideas like painting over murals, while working class people on both sides of the green and orange line cry out for investment in social housing, education, youth services and mental health services. While both governments punish trans kids for existing and legitimise war criminals with handshakes and shamrocks, my peers are dying by suicide. There is what feels like insurmountable intergenerational trauma and insufficient services to deal with it. I would say that the first step in moving on and moving forward would be providing some decent mental health services, investing in youth services, and a proper standard of living for all working class people in the North. Thank you, and free Palestine.
So this is, whenever we think about Northern Ireland, we think of, the orange-green divide, as she pointed out here, and not the bread and butter issues. The issues that are really important to so many people. These issues are forgotten. Mental health support, the NHS, poverty. These are things that need to be dealt with. Who's that, Max? Her name is, I'll bring it back up, is Lola Pretty Crew. I think she's maybe a singer or a musician. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with her. Best actress in drama. Sorry, apologies. So she's an actress. Instead of focusing on the on the sort of political issues, focus on the bread and butter issues. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why we're seeing such a rise in the Alliance Party in Northern Ireland, because so many people are just tired of the sort of sectarian politics. Not that it's not important, it's just that many young people in particular just want to get on with their lives and have what they see as issues being prioritized. So guys, we're almost at the end of the stream, so I want to say thank you so much to everyone who came on tonight. The stream went really fast tonight, much faster than usual. I want to say thanks to everyone who sent a super chat. Thanks to the moderators for doing a wonderful job, and thank you to everyone who smashed the like button. If you didn't smash it already, you can do it before you leave. But before we go, we have our one video for the road. I hope you enjoy this. Before I bring it up, I want to remind you that on Friday there will be a special 200,000 subscriber live stream. So I'll be doing an Ask Me Anything. Once again, you can ask me any questions about myself, the channel, about what's behind me. I may be trying on some of the helmets if you like. Get your opinion on the best one. And I'll post a notification on the community page about that, and also on Discord. So I hope you enjoy this.
Are you in charge of an economy that is struggling to deal with the effects of a very silly decision, but also trying to pretend it never happened? Do you run a health system battered by an explosion in long-term sickness, but would rather ignore one obvious cause? Are you concerned by mass protests, but also really like selling arms? Then you need Don't Mention It. Just one application of Don't Mention It will block out all history, context and nuance, so you don't have to worry about any of that complicated stuff and can keep your eyes fixed on your glorious future, not the messy past. Our economy's been permanently damaged by leaving the single market. Don't mention it. It'll only annoy people if you do, and a lot of those people have newspaper columns. Long COVID's a massive factor in long-term sickness, but unlike many countries, we restrict vaccine boosters to a few and don't subsidise the cost for others. Don't mention it. COVID is so 2020, and vaccinations are controversial these days because of stupid. If you bring it all up again, you'll just have loads of nasty tweets. Instead, have you thought about trying to bully disabled people into work? Anger and frustration with the horrors in Gaza and Lebanon and with the Israeli government is really— Whoa, are you mad? Don't mention it, don't mention it, don't mention it. You'll only enrage people on all sides, and I mean, after all, what can you do? You're only in government, you're not God. Don't mention it, because sometimes discretion is the better part of something you shouldn't mention. And I didn't even bring up climate. Don't mention it.
I'm not God. So guys, have a great week. I'll see you on Friday, same bad time, same bad channel. Stay safe, take care, and good night.